I hope everyone had a time to grab a nice tea or coffee and you're enjoying our event so far. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Aoibhinn Stewart and I am the Director of Delivery here in IMGS. And Kieran and I felt this would be a very good opportunity for us to give you a brief insight into why IMGS have moved into the world of data intelligence. So prior to joining, I spent 15 years working in banking and insurance. And it was during this time that I was exposed to many data projects: data capture, migration, reporting, visualization, restitution, regulatory. You name it, we did it. All of these projects had one thing in common. They needed good data to be successful. That sounds like a simple task, doesn't it? It wasn't. We had data sources everywhere, hundreds of them, old and new platforms. Some were so legacy that there would literally be one guy who knew how to switch it on and off or how it worked. And we had business experts who understood their data, but no one else did. We had senior management who were tasked with forecasting and needed to get results and needed to make decisions on a regular basis. They needed reports and they needed them now. But we had to push these changes through already overworked IT departments. And when the music stopped, who's going to pay? It was a minefield. I was also involved in a large BI program. And that's really where I witnessed firsthand the importance of choosing the right tools for the job. Tools which would empower your users and developers. You need their buy-in. Otherwise, the dev team would go back to hand coding as soon as our backs were turned. And that's exactly what they did. It all links back to the importance of the right solution. You'll have seen during Darren's demo how with the right tools, these tasks are easy and the pain is taken out of it. Simple, like it should be. We needed better solutions, easy to implement, quick to give results, and industry leaders. When I joined IMGS, I saw the same challenges faced by all of our customers. Data everywhere. We had data, we couldn't get to it, couldn't analyze it, we couldn't view it, we couldn't ask the questions to get the answers that we needed to run business, to make the decisions in our organization, our departments, whatever. We needed access to that data. We needed to trust that data. So Kieran and I started searching for the right solution providers to give our customers what they needed. We wanted those who were Gartner recognized, industry leaders, making their customers happy. Happy customers are very important, and who were empowering the decision makers. And we found them. I'm really proud to say IMGS are now partnered with 3 of the best in the business, the gold standard when it comes to data solution providers: Talend, Sisense, and SNOWFLAKE. The combination of which allows us at IMGS to devise the right solution to meet our customer needs. Whether it's a data lake, hosting in the cloud, giving access across the organization to trusted data, or allowing you to visualize your data, we now have a toolbox to make it possible, helping you to become the data-driven organization and make your data strategy a reality. Whether you're beginning your journey, whether you're finished your journey, I'm yet to meet that person, no matter what phase of your data journey you're on, we can help. We can help you attain the insights you need to make good business decisions on data you can trust. This is where the likes of the Talend Trust Score is a fantastic tool. I wish we'd had it. I wish we'd had it for those 15 years. It immediately gives you an idea of how good your data is. Most of the problem with data is you don't know how good or bad it is before you even start to look at it. Something like the Trust Score, fantastic. Soon I'm going to hand you back to Kieran for the remainder of today's session. We have 2 great speakers coming up, Colin and Julie. But before I do, I would like to encourage you to reach out and talk to us. I know we can't meet face to face anymore, but we'd love to have a chat about your journey, about your challenges, to talk to you, to see what do we have that can help you to become data driven, to help you on your data journey. Phone call, email, a virtual coffee, a socially distanced coffee. It's just a chat, and it really would give us the opportunity to talk to you in more depth about what we could do for you. I hope you enjoy the rest of the day. I look forward to seeing you all again soon. And in the meantime, keep safe and well. Over to you, Kieran.
Thanks, Avian. And I suppose you have the pain scars to show for those years and with IT and data.
All these grey hairs and all these wrinkles. Yeah.
But I think it is really true. Like what you're saying is like what Talent and Sisense and Snowflake are bringing now is solutions to these age-old problems of data. And I think it is. And as a company, we're delighted to have such a great range of products. Thank you for sharing your history.
Very
you were
welcome.
only 10 when you started in IT.
I was very young when I started out. That's why I've done all those years. I know, I'm really showing my age now with all these years and decades of suffering.
I won't give my years because that's only going to scare everybody. Okay, thanks, Evan. So thanks everybody for coming back. I hope you went to the booth. I believe I was chatting to some of the guys. I think there were people asking questions at the booth, which is great, and you will be getting your goodies in the post. And again, I know you may have questions or that you might want to put out in the screen, but you might want to do in the chat in the booth after the session. So if the people in the Sisense and the Snowflake and the Talent will be there for a wee while after the session. So once you see the next presentation, that might also raise up some questions or some things you might want to ask the guys. So yeah, we'll be hanging around for a wee while after the event as well. So if anybody wants to talk, then we can. Okay, so I'm going to kick off this second session. Let me just share my screen and share and hide that. And yeah, so the second session, as Avian said, we're delighted this morning that they have Colin Moynihan, who is a Snowflake solution architect from Snowflake Ireland, Judy Zuckerman, who is a Sisense senior product marketer, and Aditya Dote, our own data pre-sales consultant, to present on the solution. So what is predictive analytics, or what are predictive analytics? So predictive analytics are the use of data, statistical algorithms, and machine learning techniques to identify the likelihood of future outcomes based on historical data. So it means that you can go beyond knowing what has happened, which is what we do an awful lot of analysis on, to predicting what will happen in the future. And that's where you get real benefits, being able to predict or forecast what's going to happen so you can make better decisions. But how do you get started with predictive analytics? Like it's a great buzzword, everybody's talking about it, and it's going to save fortunes. But how do you get in that journey? Well, the first thing you need to do is to define your business result. What is you're trying to achieve? Then you've got to collect all the relevant data, and that's easier said than done, as we know. And then prepare the data so there's good enough information that you can analyze and you can generate results from. And then, you can run your predictive analytics model to forecast what it is you want to make a decision on. And of course, once you do this, the first thing you got to do is validate the results and make sure that you are getting the right answers, and then repeat, because with any predictive analytics, it's not a panacea. It'll never be 100%. You will always learn. It'll always be improving. AI isn't magic. It is based on certain core principles of historical information, forecast, and analysis. And the more historical information you have, the better the forecast you're going to make. The more input you can bring to that, the better the forecast you can make. And where does our data intelligence platform come in to this predictive analytics sphere? Well, as we've seen this morning, Talent is perfect for helping you collect your data. So as you need to generate all this information so that you have the historical information to generate your reports, Talent can bring this data together and bring you a single view. Because again, it's not just about having a big data swamp of information. It's about having information that you can report on, information that you can analyze. With the then you need somewhere to store it. And as we've talked about already, Snowflake is the perfect area to store your data, so you can prepare and build your data mart or build your analysis data warehouse so that you can run this big data. Because again, to do proper forecasting, to do proper predictive analytics, you are talking about using huge amounts of data. And then with Sisense, we can model and visualize this information to run the analytics, as Aditya is going to show this morning, to visualize results and do your forecasting. An example of this kind of forecast and analytics is the Lenovo. So Lenovo is the world's largest PC vendor. They have a revenue of 34 billion. With Talent, Lenovo built an elastic hybrid cloud system supporting real-time business intelligence and operation analytics. So they wanted a 360-degree view of all customer behavior and journey across their 4 channels. So they wanted to know when you're on the Lenovo website, if you clicked on another product when you were there, or if you search for something else, so that they could understand what the customer was looking for, not just what they bought, but what they're thinking about buying. And this meant that then Lenovo were able to change the production process to make sure that they could get to market faster, that make sure that they could sell the right products and develop the right products. And this has led to an increased average revenue per unit by 11%. This is in a 34 billion company. And not only is it revenue increases, but also a 1 million operating cost reduction, because they weren't producing products they don't need. And this meant that 40% of operational gains could be reinvested. So their focus was to enhance, as I said by the Director of Analytics, was to enhance customer satisfaction through marketing. And then by combining all the data, they got to know their customers better and better serve them. You know, if you go onto the website, you want the product you want to buy, not something else. So I'm now going to hand over to Colin, who is going to take over and talk about Snowflake. So let me just stop my screen share here. Morning, Colin. How are you?
Great.
And hopefully now you should be able to do your screen share. And thanks again for joining us this morning. You're another part of sunny Dublin, well, wet-looking Dublin out that window. So we'll hand over to you now, Colin. In a busy week or so in the last week, as I said, for Snowflake.
Let it snow, yes.
Let it snow.
Can you see my slides? Are we good?
You're good to go. You're good to go.
So huge thank you to IMGS, to Kieran, Aveen, and the team. We're delighted with your continued valued partnership, and this has been a super event. I've never used this platform, but it's been really great. I know it's the new norm, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah, so delighted to be speaking this morning at your event. Great. So I have 15 minutes. So I thought I'd give you kind of a quick overview of Snowflake, then kind of take you through the why, as in, you know, what makes Snowflake unique, give you a very interesting use case, and then kind of end up with next steps, how you get started, etc. So like Kieran alluded to, we listed on the New York Stock Exchange last week. I was very popular for 2 days of my life. So yeah, so really good listing. We were the largest software company IPO listing ever. We're now worth an estimated over $60 billion in market cap. So really good listing. Great to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange and to be a publicly listed company. So we've 2,000 employees worldwide. We've 4 in Ireland. We have sales and technical people in Ireland. We've been here a year. We've some very interesting customers in Ireland, from multinationals to local businesses. You know, we have the likes of Sainsbury's, Argos, Deliveroo. Cartroller is a really good customer of ours. They spoke at our Snowflake user group, gambling.com and Hostel World. So some very good logos and customers in Ireland. We're looking to expand that. So we're looking to onboard new customers in Ireland so they can see the benefits of Snowflake as well. So some of the, so 3,000 customers, some very large logos. So the world's largest telco, AT&T, is a customer, a very large customer. Nike, if you use Nike products, they're doing new insight that they could never do before. Cisco was a consolidation of multiple platforms from Hadoop, Oracle, Teradata. And then we have the likes of Nielsen, Capital One, top 20 bank globally, Cemex, a large cement producer as well. So our ecosystem, 1,000 partners. Obviously our key partners here, IMGS, Sisense, Talend. We run on all 3 public clouds, so they're our co-opetition, you could say, and we do partner with them from time to time in the interest of the customer. So AWS, Microsoft, and Google Cloud. And Salesforce is also, I don't know if pre-IPO, 2 large investors came in before our IPO. One was Salesforce to the tune of 250 million, and the other was Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway, came in. So that kind of gave us a really kind of gold star in terms of investment in Snowflake. So we are cash rich at the moment, which is good. So lots of future functionality to add to our platform. So what are people's current challenges? So I've been selling software a fair number of years. I've been selling cloud data platforms, Hadoop. So I'm ex-Informatica, ex-Similarity Systems, ex-Cloudera. So, you know, we've been talking to customers about cloud for many years, right? And the biggest challenge, particularly in Ireland, is the adoption of cloud. It has been very slow. For enterprises in Ireland, we're certainly behind the curve in comparison to countries of our size, like Israel, New Zealand, Denmark, and in Europe, where we're definitely behind the major markets in terms of cloud adoption. Now, the challenge with cloud is which cloud? You know, maybe I have one cloud, maybe you have two clouds. And also, those cloud vendors want to lock you into a full stack. They want to sell you the kitchen sink, get you some free credits up front, and then lock you in, and you can't move. You can't run BigQuery on Azure. You can't run Redshift on Google. So you're kind of locked into their proprietary add-ons that they've plugged into their data platforms. The other challenge is data. So most companies, particularly in Ireland, do analytics on less than 5% of their data. They only look at the structured data from the core systems, and generally that comes with their ERP system. So something like SAP BW or a Teradata or an Exadata. So they don't look at their semi-structured data. They don't look at third-party data. They don't look at the unstructured data. So they're very much focused on only a small percentage of the data in their business, which makes it very difficult to drive new insight, to become a data-driven company if you're only ever looking at a small subset of your company's data. Third thing, COVID-19 is something we have to live in. Staff shortages, it's costly, supply chain issues. How do I access? I mean, we are being pummeled by the media with a message that's exactly the same. But, you know, what if I could get access to that data? I could see the trends. I could see exactly county by county, country by country, what the real numbers are, you know, what the profiles are. So, and this is something that we offer on our Snowflake data marketplace. Also, we've had in Ireland, and you know, we've a very large, low-cost retailer that didn't have an online presence, that's lost billions of dollars because they couldn't do click and collect. They didn't have an e-commerce site. So that whole digital workplace is becoming a lot more topical now because COVID has hit these businesses, shut them down. They didn't have an online presence, and it's caused some real problems in terms of loss of revenue. And then the fourth thing is costs. Because things are more expensive now, you have to put in place procedures. You have to put, cleaning programs in place. If you are operating your analytics on premise, you have huge costs. You have costs of the data center, cost of the hardware, cost of the operating system, the upgrades, the maintenance. It's huge. It's 20 to 50 times more expensive than the cloud offerings, and double that in comparison to Snowflake. And this all ties together with how do I operate in the new norm with less staff? How do I get towards a digital workplace? So that's what we're going to discuss today on our chat. So what is Cloudera? What is Snowflake? What is in our stack? What is Snowflake's offering? So we offer a cloud only. We're not stuck with hybrid on-premise stuff. We don't have to maintain that, so we can develop much quicker. We offer a cloud data platform. We run on the 3 clouds. So we run on AWS, Azure, and GCP. Okay. So, and you can run Snowflake on any of those 3 clouds. And what workloads, what things can you do on Snowflake? So you can do data engineering. So you can use the likes of Talend, push down the transformations down to Snowflake. You can convert CSV to JSON or Parquet to CSV. You can host your data warehouse. So you don't need to spend money, write large checks to SAP, Oracle, or Teradata. You can move, lift and shift your entire data warehouse to Snowflake and get a faster, cheaper, more data to all of your users, not just a subset of your users. You can use Snowflake as a data lake query engine. So if you have data on S3, or you have Parquet data on Azure, or you have data, pricing data and CSV on Google, you can point our compute at your data sets on cloud. You can build data applications. So if you had a spend analytics app or a mobile or a web app, you can, any of the charts, the reports, any of the analytics, you can have a data app that uses Snowflake to populate those reports, or use something like SNOWSITE to show that to your users. Data science, you can plug in data science tools to do machine learning, predictive analytics, customer sentiment, segmentation. So you can plug your data science tools directly on Snowflake, pull that data out, train and build your models, and then populate that scores back. And the new thing we've added is a thing called our Snowflake Data Marketplace, and that allows you share data with your customers, your suppliers. No more FTP, no more extracting data, no more customers pulling that data into their warehouses. It's all using the same real-time back-end database provided by Snowflake. Okay, so that's what we sell. It's a cloud data platform. We support 6 use cases, and we run on any of those clouds as well. So what makes us unique, and this is where our IPO went mad last week, is we are unique in the marketplace. And we're unique in the marketplace because of our architecture. We built Snowflake for the cloud. We didn't take an on-prem system like Postgres, sellotape it together and stick it on a cloud platform. We didn't do that. We built Snowflake from the ground up. So you've got 3 layers in Snowflake. The first layer is the databases, right? The data storage. We persist all our data into object store. So the beautiful thing about cloud, it gives you shared data at scale, and it gives you that persistent layer, but it's low cost. So I can store my databases and I can persist that in we call them micro partitions. So we store the data in these small, compressed, encrypted micro partitions. They're called FDN files. So our back end is object store, which is shared. And then our second layer is our compute. So compute is what cloud does very well. So I can spin up, 16 EC2 instances or 1,000 VMs on Azure, and I get this infinite scale. So I can scale it up and I can scale it out to give me concurrency. So that's my second tier, and that's called our virtual warehouses. That's our virtual compute. And then the third layer that makes Snowflake so great is we wrap this in a cloud services layer. So we do the upgrades for you. We do the maintenance, the indexing, the partitioning, all that is taken care of. We manage the security. So we have all the ISO, PHI certification. We do the query planning and optimization. So you literally load the data and then do analytics. It's as simple as that. You don't have to build an HA. We have it automatically built in. So that's our cloud services layer. So 3 tiers. So we have databases, virtual compute with our virtual warehouses, and our cloud services layer. So the first thing we want to do is get the data in. So I can use the likes of Talent to get the data in and do an ELT type push. So we're pushing down the transformations to Snowflake. So we're using our elastic scale and compute. I can stream data in. We have a Kafka connector. If you're streaming data in, I can also use our Snowpipe, which is our serverless service, which will take the data in on a message from one of the cloud vendors. So then I can do schema on read. So I can take my JSON data in, I can take my Parquet, my ORC files, I can load that directly, and I can do schema on read directly on Snowflake. So we had one great customer 2 weeks ago, gambling.com. They analyze 60 million web pages a day, and they do that using our semi-structured schema on read. And that's an Irish customer. Dev and test. Because Snowflake is built with this metadata layer, so it's built using Foundation DB as the metadata layer, all of my definitions, my table definitions, and my data is stored in these micro partitions I can take a 0 copy clone of production. So for example, if I have a terabyte in production, generally I will have on a traditional on-prem, like an Oracle or SQL Server, I'll have 12 copies of that terabyte. So I'll have 12 terabytes that I have to pay for. I'll have QA, UAT, I'll have backups, I'll have HA. In Snowflake, we take a snapshot of that data. We can then mask it for use for development, testing, data science, and you're not paying for an additional terabyte of storage. So we give you that 0 copy clone. And you can scale up your development environment as you build out your workload. So this will speed your development and your analytics as you use Snowflake. The next one is this live secure data sharing. I can now share, because that back end is separated from my compute, I can provide my suppliers, my customers with a snapshot, basically a link into the live database. So for example, Sainsbury's, a really good example, they share their transaction data with manufacturers. So Procter & Gamble, Unilever, and they sell that back to the manufacturers and say, look, if you want to see where your products are selling in our stores, we use Snowflake's live data sharing. You can connect your tools, you can connect your BI, Sisense directly into the Snowflake database and use our compute, and we will charge you a fee for that live data share. We have full built-in data protection, time travel, 90 days time travel. So I can do analytics going backwards up to 90 days. Fully built-in HA, automatic replication cross-cloud inter-region. And I also have an Excel plugin for my finance department so they can pull data out of Snowflake, and if they want, update data back to Snowflake as well. So as we discussed before, what does Snowflake now solve in those 4 key areas? So the first thing is we're built for all 3 clouds. So I could have AWS here in Dublin, I can have Azure in the Netherlands, I can have Google in London, and I can have 3 different accounts, same product, and I literally click a button and provision a new Snowflake in each of those regions on those clouds. So no, you're not locked into a single cloud. You can move from one to the other, and you can share. I can pull data from one cloud or another cloud into, so I can move my Snowflake to where your cloud data is. So if you have lots and lots of data on S3 in Dublin, I can create the account there. If you have lots of data on Azure in the Netherlands, I can create a Snowflake account there. We support all your data requirements. So structured, semi-structured, we can stream the data in, we can do analytics on the metadata for your unstructured data. We can do all of that. We have near zero maintenance. So we do all of that hard work, the indexing, partitioning, HA. So you don't need network guys, DBAs, you don't need all this staff to maintain your data platforms. We have near zero downtime. We've never been down in the 8 years that Snowflake's been in production. It needs a lot less staff to maintain. I mean, we have customers going from 20 down to 0.2 of a person to maintain their Snowflake instance. And costs, it's a pay-as-you-go model. You can start small, and you only pay, our storage costs are very low. It's only $276 a terabyte per year, and you pay for the compute. So every time I run a query, so the first time I run that query, I charge for that, the seconds the query ran. The second time I run it, I cache that query so I don't pay a second time. And 1 hour of compute is an extra small, and that's $5 for 60 minutes of a virtual warehouse. You can run 8 queries per second on that for simple queries on that virtual compute. So here's an example of a use case, 1 or 2 use cases we've been working on. I've got all my data sources. So my marketing analytics on Google, SQL Server, Oracle for my databases, ERP, I have subsidiaries that run Dynamics. My core system is SAP ECC. I have Salesforce for my CRM, and I have drivers and IoT for my third-party data. Now, I want to get all of that in there. So I can use the likes of Talent to ELT that data in there with those connectors. I can stream it with our Kafka connector, And I can give the business, the first time ever, a single view of all of their data. Single customer 360, single product 360, single subsidiary supplier 360, all of their marketing data. I can connect externally to their pricing or product info or their competitive information that's stored on a data lake, available on an S3 or an ADLS Gen 2 bucket. So I can do all of this in one single platform. I can plug in data from our Snowflake data marketplace. We have census data from Ireland 2016, OpenStreetMap, Ordnance Survey Ireland. That data is available that you can just connect, get the data and plug it in and do your analytics. So then my consumers become, I can do some data science, predictive maintenance. I can use Excel for my finance users to analyze procure to pay. I can do profit and loss analysis and go back 90 days. I can look at operations with our geospatial support. And I can do analytics with Snowsight, the built-in tool from Snowflake. So what I get is all my data in one cloud data platform, single view of customer, product, supplier, live data sharing with distributors, cost, so I can have a look at my procure to pay, my supply chain tracking. So I can increase revenues with my marketplace, I can reduce my costs with analytics on that, and I can improve my customer satisfaction with 360. So I'm going to build this one out. So key points for Snowflake: volume. So all the data storage you need, all the velocity, always secure, limitless scale, consumption-based pricing. It's a SaaS service, so no hardware. I don't need to worry about upgrades. All data types, so structured, semi-structured, and pointers to unstructured data. Cloud agnostic. So it doesn't matter if you're AWS or Azure or you're thinking of Google. We run on all three, and you can make better decisions, quicker business decisions faster. Now, how do you get started? My final slide. So if you want to get started, sign up for a trial. You'll get $400 worth of free credits. It's 30 days long. It's very easy to sign up. That's the URL, signup.snowflake.com. You can do self-paced labs. So there are the links down below, bit.ly, snow_lab1 or snow_lab-c. So hands-on labs. We have a COVID data set. You can have a look at Irish data. You can have a look at all the cases. You can have a look at the increase. You can compare it to countries like Israel or Finland or Norway and see, how are we doing in relative terms to countries of our size. And you can also divide it by the world population to get you that per 100,000 as part of the analysis. If you have a funded project, if you're keen to get started with Snowflake, please email us at ireland@snowflake.com. Sorry, spelling mistake there. We'd love to talk to you, love to chat to you about your use case and get you started with Snowflake. Thank you.
Thanks, Colin. That's great. If you can stop screen sharing, Colin, we'll just, because then we can hand back. We can then get over to the next user. Perfect. Thank you, Colin. Now, I think with the Snowflake, like one of the things our guys have always said is that Snowflake is just one of the easiest to use solutions as a database, and the performance of it. Like, so for projects where we would have had to set up database servers and migrate data and then get vacuum set the database out properly, like the ease of use with Snowflake, that you can just get started with masses of data. And of course, Julie's going to talk about Sisense in a minute. Sisense just connects direct to Snowflake. Talent, as you said, we've got Talent ETL and Talent ELT, so Stitch Data Loader, which can do fast load into Snowflake, or we can go through the kind of tools we're showing this morning. So a really joined up solution. And I think Talent and Sisense recently got there's Snowflake certifications on their technology stacks and all this kind of thing. So all three partners are work very closely together. So thanks, Colin.
Thank you.
So Julie, good morning. Welcome from Israel.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it's a wee bit of background, but yes, so I'll go and mute it. And if you can share your screen, Julie, then we'll let you kick off about Sisense and its analytic capabilities. So Julie is the senior product director with Sisense in Israel. Thanks for coming this morning, Julie.
Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, I can see your screen. Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah. Well, I could. Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
Okay. So here we go. First of all, thank you all for having me today. Special thanks to the IMGS team, and congrats to Column and Snowflake on the amazing IPO. And we're very proud to be your partner. As you saw in the earlier session, heard a bit now, Sisense helps organizations with the analytical agility needed to achieve better business outcomes. And today I'm going to go into a little bit of detail about some of our AI and ML capabilities. So first, I think you all probably know this, but obviously analytics is not easy. We've got growing data volumes. IDC says that by 2025, data will grow 61% to 175 zettabytes. And if you have data, the odds are you have a lot of it. And we believe that AI will help make humans make more sense of the data sets that are being generated every day by countless individuals and devices. There's also a skill set gap, meaning that lots of users find analytics quite complex. They don't really get past basics, and they might not know what to ask or how to drill into the data, how to find the right answers. And finding useful, actionable insights is also very tough. So the result is that there's quite a low adoption of analytics. Something like less than 27% of the organizations are successfully adopting analytics. But here's where AI and machine learning come in, though. By giving users the right tools, we can guide them further, explore further. Gartner says that curated dashboards will be replaced with something more personalized, more dynamic, based on the user's context at that moment. We've already seen this with our customers. Just a few things, I'm not going to read this slide or anything, but just a few things that we're hearing from our customers, that AI is helping them stand out from their competition. We're already showing it off to our customers in demos and getting great reactions. And one customer said, Sisense AI features will save us the building of a whole data science team. Just a little bit about the AI capabilities at our foundation. AI permeates many aspects of the Sisense platform. I'm going to get into some of these in a minute, more in specifics, but I wanted to mention the technology that's underlying our AI investments throughout the platform. And it's called the Sisense Knowledge Graph, which shown here is kind of the bottom layer. It studies the associations between all the entities on the system. That's users, data, models, widgets, formulas, clicks, filters, anything that we can gather to understand the collective wisdom of the organization, which leads to more human and context-aware outcomes. It leverages 10 years of anonymized data, historical data from Sisense clients' past interactions, built on over 650 billion usage events. So this is something that keeps getting smarter and will bring more value for the customers in terms of insight generation, anomaly-based alerting, and decision automation. So now I'm going to get more into some of the specific features. We released earlier this year Sisense Natural Language Query, NLQ, which allows users to ask sophisticated questions in a very easy way with natural language and then get immediate answers that go far beyond the predefined models in any dashboard. Gives you shorter time to insight. Before I'm going to show you a little demo, but before I'll go into a few specific customer examples. So here we have an HR company who just needs to find out some basic analytics. They can just ask, anybody in the HR department can ask, how many employees joined in 2020, or how is my employee retention rate going in the last quarter, or can I, they can also ask predictive questions. How many people will we need to join our product team to get the product out? So this is one of our customers was saying that they're finding it hard to query analytics models, but by using NLQ and allowing people to ask with natural language, it's really helping them a lot. Another example with the document management company, most of our users are not technical business people. They're not used to querying the data. So anyone can just ask, show me all of the contracts of this type or that type and signed by this customer, and it really helps them be able to tap into all the questions that their employees have about what's happening with their data and their contracts and every aspect of the company. Last customer example from an inventory management company. They want to know, how their stock is, the inventory is doing in different countries. They can look around. They can ask any question and get the answers instantly. We want to make sure our customers are successful. Always looking for ways to bridge the gap and make BI easier and more accessible. So that's one thing we really believe that NLQ will help bring greater engagement with analytics across the organization. I'm now going to show you just a quick video about how it works. We have a little button called Simply Ask. You click on that, and a new window will appear that allows the user to start typing a question. What were total sales for cameras in this country by gender, and it'll immediately give you an answer with the visualization with the different available chart types. The user can also see a list of the available fields. It also comes bundled with a dictionary of common synonyms. So if I type what is my income, the engine will automatically translate income to revenue because income is not a field in the data model. And the user can see how the query was translated and which synonym was used. When the user begins typing a word, the NLQ engine will automatically offer autocomplete suggestions in between words, as well as suggestions offered based on past saved searches, based on the user's profile or the company's profile, using the knowledge graph that I mentioned before. So there's I think this went a little quickly, but there's full support for misspelled words and ambiguous terms. And this isn't in the video because it's just released now, but we also now have support for forecast and trend models, live data models, and much more. Okay, so forecast, something I mentioned in terms of NLQ, but this is another feature that we have, which allows users to predict future outcomes based on historical data. And I'll give you an example from a customer. An international flower grower wants to know how many flowers will be ready for the harvest, or any kind of predictive questions on time series models can be asked. Knowing this will help them plan for the workforce and plan for the harvest and what's happening with the climate. So I'll show you a little the GIF, but it gives users advanced predictive forecasting at scale with a menu-driven point-and-click interface. Forecast uses ensembles of advanced forecasting that come right out of the box. You don't need any data science or R, Python expertise, and business users can independently compare the forecast with actual values for the last period or for any time series visualization. Here's the forecast area, purple. Basically, you're getting with this predictive analytics with a click. It allows the users to go deeper with multivariate analyses, which means you can examine the dependency and interconnectivity of other variables on the forecast to predict possible outcomes. Plus, the insights are automatically added as an overlay on top of the visualization, and you can view a summary of the respective weights of the model, so you can get instant explainability if you need to explain to your stakeholders how the model is built. So the next feature I want to share with you is our AI trends, which is kind of the flip side of forecasting. Users can add it. They add another layer on top of the on top of the visualization to highlight the trends. So click the play button here. As I was mentioning, you can easily draw trend lines using a number of statistical models or ML-powered algorithms, including exponential smoothing and local estimates. This feature is available for all the viewers. You don't need a dashboard designer to create the trends for you. You can easily draw the trends using the models, get insights on the trajectory of your data, and compare current and past behavior. So it's very useful, particularly when the data is noisy or volatile. It's hard to understand what the bottom line is. The last AI feature I want to share with you is called Sisense Group Similar, which allows you to create data models faster with higher quality by eliminating manual data prep steps using AI. It automatically resolves any discrepancies in the data to create a cleaner experience for your analysts and end users. For example, you would group values such as it's a little hard to see here, but a little blurry. But let's say you have America, USA, US, United States. It would group all of those into one single value based on the recommendations of the AI engine. And you can simply choose and approve which AI suggestions you'd like to group into a field with a few clicks. There's no need to create huge lookup tables or giant SQL statement. If you really activate it, accept it, and you're done. So you might hear the term augmented analytics a lot. That's how Gartner refers to capabilities like this. And what augmented analytics is all about is focusing on actual regular users, business users, allowing them to make smarter decisions that leverage the advantages of AI. Augmentation adds value to the users and allows them to feed back into the system and thus make the AI better and more personalized and more empowering. So at Sisense, we believe that AI is really the key to helping organizations get a greater level of analytics adoption, which, as I showed in the beginning, is quite low at the moment, and ultimately, of course, drive better business outcomes. So that's it for me. Thank you very much. And for more information, to get a personalized demo trial, please visit us at sisense.com or let me know.
Okay, thank you, Julie. If you could just stop the screen share for a second there, if you hit the button. Yep. Thanks. And yeah, I'm not sure. There seemed to be a small glitch with the videos. Maybe everybody might have seen you during that presentation, but they saw your PowerPoint and and he could hear you fine. So now they can see you.
Oh no, sorry about that.
No, I think it's the system. I don't think it's anything to do with you. I could see you, but I don't think the end users could. So just let people know that they can see who was talking behind the presentation. So thank you very much. I think again it just shows with Sisense the power of the analytics and how easy it is now to do some of these advanced tools. You don't have to be a Python developer or an R developer to run these models. Actually, with some of the self-service capabilities in Sisense, you can actually do this kind of work, which is great to see. So thank you for coming out this morning, Julie. And then the last presentation this morning, we're going to bring in Aditya, who is downstairs, so he's really far from me, after Julie from Israel. So Aditya, if you do a screen share, you can then present and you can start your demonstration. So Aditya is going to show an example of how we're using predictive analytics. He's going to show two areas. The first one is to show historical analysis. So being able to look at condition data of electrical poles, sample poles that we're using, and be able to analyze that data to show current condition and how good the poles are. And again, everybody does that. It's pretty easy. It's nice. We can build some nice dashboards in Sisense. But the second part of this demonstration is then to show how we can actually forecast when a pole is going to be at a certain level of damage that it needs to be replaced. And in this case, we're going to use weather data to forecast when a storm could hit and how it could impact the condition of the poles to make them dangerous and that they could fall on somebody. So again, we're using sample data, but the data we took is actually Canadian information and using some real-time analysis, some industry analysts to calculate the condition of the poles, and then we're going to see how the weather information can have an impact on that. So Aditya, I'll hand over to you if you want to share your screen.
Thanks.
Good morning.
Thanks.
Good morning, by the way.
Yeah. Thanks, Karen, and good morning, everyone. Hope you can all hear me fine and can see my screen. If not, just so can you see my screen? Is it fine?
It is for me. Yep, I can see it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what we have today is that we have got two processes in place. One is operative or operational, and the second one is predictive. And what you are seeing on top left, you can see that there are two dashboards basically that are representing those two processes or basically summarizing them. So the first one is Pole's health dashboard, and the second one is Pole's predictive health dashboard. So let's start with the first one, the Pole's health dashboard, which is an operational process that we have put in place. And what you are seeing on your right-hand side is a pie chart summarizing the health of overall health of our assets. And by assets, what do I mean is that we have got around 5,000 electricity utility poles spread from east to west coast of Ireland, so from Dublin till Galway. And the numbers that you are seeing from 1 to 5, so what that means is they represent asset health or AHI, asset health index. 5 means that the health of the asset is good, that the pole is healthy, and 1 means that the pole is in precarious or dangerous condition that needs maintenance or basically needs replacement. On the left hand side, you could see that it says that only 0.17% of the poles are in danger, so that's a good sign for us. And these are the 8 poles out of the 5,000 that are in the red zone or having an AHI of 1. So now let's see as to how we got to this AHI or asset health index. So on your left, you could see that what I have is certain measures about electricity poles. So first of all, let me tell you what we have is the electricity poles are the red cheddar tree poles that we have, and the data for them as well. And according to industry standards, what they do is it is recommended to have a survey of them every 8 to 10 years to see how they are aging and how good they are to serve. To basically serve the purpose. So these are certain measures that we have data for. For example, asset health and surface condition, asset and the age of the asset, and shell thickness. So this basically the 3 graphs is just summarizing as to how the health of an asset relates to one of the measures. So how this is being calculated is that every 8 to 10 years, the field engineers go out in open and take these surveys, and what they bring is say ground line circumference. For example, what's the circumference of the pole at the ground? Does the pole has a woodpecker hole? Or how the surface condition looks like. For example, the external surface, does it has cracks? Can you see termite infections, or the surface looks absolutely all right and it's shiny? So these are the measures that the engineers calculate, and then you calculate the AHI or asset health index. So in summary, you could see that from the AHI, you could see that for example, the mean age or median age for a red cheddar tree is around 42 years. So after it completes, or after it has reached that age, the health index kind of falls to red zone. And similar, the same goes with the health index and the shell thickness. So for example, if the shell thickness is less than 3, the health index would be, or the health would be below 3. That means it's coming to end of its life and so on. So, but on the right hand side, you could see that there are certain weights representing these measures. So, what weights are, I'll just tell you in a while, and there's a calculation. So, let me just quickly take you to a small calculation part as to how we get this AHIs. So, what you are seeing is here for ID 1 to 5, I have got the ground line circumference that an engineer went out and took note of it, and we have got it. And what we have is our ground line circumference, and we have decided a weight for 3. So now these weights are industry decided. So there has been a lot of survey, and based on that, they have came up with measures that kind of impacts greater or impacts more towards the overall AHI. For example, if the pole is aging, so age as a factor counts more as compared to what transformer it carries. So that those are the weights that that we have took into consideration. So what how we calculate is we simply multiply the ground line circumference with the weight associated with the ground line circumference, and so in order to have a summarized result, so we have summarized AHI into a normalized form. So for example, if the calculated results fall between 0 to 0.6, we'll say that the AHI is normalized AHI is 1, and otherwise 2 and 3 and so on. So that's how we got this AHI. Now this is the principle of it, but we have got categorical data as well in our data set. For example, woodpecker hole will just have a flag of yes or no. So there are different ways that you could change that categorical data into numerical one, and we have done it. We have done it in the background. Sorry, but this is just this is in principle that how it works. So now once we have it, now let's see how basically what platform or how I got that results into the dashboard. So we got the electricity, the utility data set with all the measures in a CSV file. We dump them straight into electricity pole. So that's an ELT process where you just take all of your raw data and put it into stage. And the second part of the demo, which is a predictive dashboard. So for that, we have called in a Matter and API, and we have got weather data as well. From there, what we did is we then got the data into a BI layer. So now that this BI layer basically holds process tables that are easier to visualize on SciSense dashboard that you are seeing. But not only that, in between we have put machine learning model that calculates new predicted health for the asset, and that we are storing it into the BI layer as well. And then finally, once we have all the data from the Matter and API, from the CSV transform data, and then the predicted health from machine learning model, we are kind of visualizing it in SciSense. So now let's get back to our dashboard. So what this process represents is an operational process, which is in place, which runs periodically every 10 years. We get this results, and we have got that, okay, these are the poles that we have to replace, and we do it. But what happens in between? We are not, as of now, we are not counting any external factors. So that's where the predictive part, comes in. So what you are seeing on the right hand side these are the poles from east to west coast of Ireland that we have, and what you are seeing is this is the overall weather for the next 10 days on over the utility pole. So that's just the forecast from the Matter and API. So on the left hand side, you could see how the weather is going to be. So mostly it will be cloudy, very small amount of sun. There would be a bit of light rain, and then what it shows is there's going to be a storm. So and this particular information is kind of pretty useful to us. So what we also did is that since we had forecast for 10 days, so we had to find out a day where the weather would going to be the worst, among all the 10 predicted days, so that we could focus on it. So that's what we have got, that on 23rd of September, it's going to be a stormy weather. So I'm using SciSense for cloud data teams. Let me just show you how I got this table visualization. So you can see that this is SQL that I have ran, and this SQL is interacting with my 3 tables, or the BI tables that I have stored in Snowflake. And using that, we have got a date where the weather is going to be severe, and what's the prediction. So let's filter it out first with the date. Since now we know as to which date to focus on, let's see what's happening on that particular day. So as you can see that now it has turned red. So what it says is most of the day it's going to be stormy and rainy. Just for clarification, it's not going to be stormy tomorrow. The prediction is of light rain for tomorrow. But what we have done is similar to the operational part where you have weights for each measures. We have decided weights for weather as well. For example, if weather is cloudy, it will have a weight of 1, and if it's stormy, it will carry a weight of 5. So in order to see any changes in a predicted AHI or predicted health index, we had to change this to storm, so that we have a greater weight, so that we could see visual change in our forecasted AHIs. So that's why we have did it. So you can see that it's going to be stormy. Now let's filter out the these green shoots as well, because we just want to focus on the poles that are being falling in the storm, because that's what we want. So I've put another filter, and straight away you could see that when we removed the cloudy weather, what it says that it's not only going to be stormy, but it will be very stormy. And there's a red warning, a hurricane category 3 warning. Now for poles that are being that are aging gracefully, a category 3 or 4 hurricane would be good enough to put them to the ground. So we have this data. So let's come down here as to what happens now. So now what we are seeing is that the next survey is due in 10 years, but in between, how we can have good operational health of our assets, and we have good KPIs regarding maintenance. So what we did is we put that external factor of weather into place. But not only that, what we did is, since we had legacy data on our asset health, we took that and we created a machine learning model, which is a KNN based model. And what it gives is that you provided the current age of the pole at the time of reporting, you provide it with the transformer it carries, does it has a woodpecker hole. So we already knew that information from prior history, from the prior survey. And what now we know is that, since say we are 1 year into our last survey, so we know that the pole has aged a year additionally. So we gave that info to machine learning model. What it gives is, it gives us the predicted surface condition. So here on the left hand side, let me just show you. So that's the machine learning model. And in the first part, I show you how I use SQL. But in cloud data teams, you have Python integration as well. So that's the scikit-learn library I have used, and machine learning KNN model, that's showing you the just an accuracy of prediction here. So what this accuracy means, that almost 74% of the time, the prediction that it made for surface condition is correct. So we have done it, and what you could see is straight away that this was our surveyed asset health, which is operational, periodic, 10-yearly, and it had found that there are 8 poles that needs attention. But given considering the external factor of weather plus the predicted health of the asset at the time of reporting, now what it's saying is that there are you could see that there are 11 poles that are in danger, and not just 8. Let me take you to this chart. Then what you've seen in the earlier slide, there were 8 poles, and now straight away you could see that we have got 11 such electricity poles, and you could see that the ones that are predicted are highlighted. So now we could have a call for action, that there's a storm coming, the assets have been aged a year, and in newly prediction we have got that there are 3 more poles that require immediate attention. And remember, it's just a sample size of 5,000 poles, but in reality you'll have 50,000-60,000 poles, and if there is a severe storm coming, you definitely like to focus on the ones that are in vicinity of a bigger place. So additionally, what we could do is, from this prediction, say we could get in the population data, or we could say, for example, these 2 poles are from Dublin, so we now know the lat long, so we could find out, okay, what's the population besides them, where they are located. If they are in the city center or somewhere in the vicinity, we need to pick them on priority. Or if they are serving a 3-phase line, so we need to pick them on priority. But in contrast, if we have, say, a pole which is predicted in Galway, and let long it says that the line is not used or it's not been used, so then we could decide that, okay, we could have a low priority on that. So that's how from the operational dashboard to a predictive dashboard with the data set that we already had, we didn't got any new additional data. The API from Eren, it's free for use, and we got the weather data. So what it helps is that Sisense for visualization and machine learning, Snowflake for storing the data, and Talent for doing all the transformations, all the ELT processes, that we can come to a predictive model that can give us good results in terms of our KPIs. So basically, our maintenance KPI can see an improvement, as to how we are maintaining and managing our assets. So I think that's all from my end. And even if you have any queries, we'll be here after a while. So please just let us know, and I'll be happy to help. I think thanks.
Thanks, Diti. That's excellent. So I think what Diti has shown there is, the ability to run predictive analytics. Like in this case, it's asset management. So to figure out where to invest your resources. So, if a storm is coming, you can drill into the analytics. You can drill down, connect in like connected data to outage information to look at, well, okay, we've certain poles are going to get affected. We know how many customers are served by that network, so we're going to invest the resources there. And this again, but it can be from predictive maintenance, it can be from customer churn. It's just proving how you can take historical data with systems where you can store data like with SciSense and Snowflake, and then visualize and build these models. So I think that's really exciting stuff. Now we have just one final slide, and then I'm going to hand over for. I think we have a couple of questions. We're coming towards the end of our time, so we won't stay long. But just really to give one final example, it's been talked about. Sorry, it would help if I shared my screen. So if I share screen just for a final slide, it's just to talk about finally AstraZeneca. Now it was mentioned a few times this morning. And again, we're all invested in AstraZeneca at the minute because they're the one leading the Oxford trials for the COVID treatment. So, but Darren mentioned it earlier on. By using data, by doing analytics, by speeding up their processes, the results that they've seen, 90% of the data to be ready for analysis within 3 minutes, shortened our planning cycles from 15 days to 3 hours, and achieved 1 billion per year savings by shortening clinical trials. And the best statement I thought I got, from AstraZeneca, for every dollar they spend on data initiative, they get 40 in return. And that really is a great way just to summarize what we're talking about today this morning. If you're using data properly, it can have huge impacts on your organization. It can really drive your digital transformation. And with the IMGS team, with the solutions and our partners that we have, we can provide solutions that deliver fantastic results. So I'm just going to stop sharing. I think there's a couple of questions come in. Let me see now. I've lost my screen share button. There it is. And stop sharing. So I think the first question, and this will be one for you, Colin. Where is, I think you mentioned in your presentation, where does the Snowflake data center run?
So yeah, it's your choice. So if you want to make sure it runs in Ireland and only in Ireland, then you would use the AWS EU West 1, which is in Dublin, and the data never leaves Dublin. If you want to run on Azure, we run on Azure in the Netherlands, and that also stays within the EU. And if you want to run in the UK, you've two choices. We've Google, so GCP in London, and we're about to add AWS in London also.
Okay, very good. And I think the other question was, how easy is it to get started on Snowflake? Well, I think it's a few clicks, isn't it?
Clicks, sign up for a trial.snowflake.com. After 30 days, put in your credit card. If you have a good chunk of change, reach out to us, and we'll get you on a prepaid credit plan. But that's 30K or more. But yeah, it is really simple. It is literally 30 seconds to get started, and away you go.
And and I think we'll be sending out after the session is we'll be sending an email to all the attendees with presentations, and we'll also have some links for how you can get started through. And again, I know we have a few government customers, so again that credit card thing can be a bit of an issue. So that's something IMGS definitely can work with, and we do with other cloud solutions we provide, where we can take that. Sort of that kind of issue as well on the credit card piece, because that can be tricky for government customers, as we know. Okay, Avian, is there any other questions? Are you aware of, or is that everything? You're on mute. You did the bingo.
I think that's everything that we have for today. The questions are all similar around the same questions around Snowflake, but I do expect that people may contact us directly with more specific questions around their organization and their industry, the challenges that they're dealing with. So I look forward to speaking to people directly about those.
Yeah, and I think some of the people, the guys out in the booths, in the virtual booths, will stay on for a while longer. So if people want to go in, I think there has been good downloads and people have been in chatting and talking. So that's great. So they'll still be there. And I just want to again and say reiterate, Evelyn, just want to thank all our speakers this morning.
Absolutely.
So thank Colin, Julie, and Darren. If I nearly forgot Darren, I wouldn't like that for presenting, and our own team. So I know Tanya has put an awful lot of work in behind the scenes to get the event going today. And again, this event was supposed to be in person in April. So we've had to re-envisage the event a couple of times over and invest in this new technology, the ESL events, and also Garrett and Aditya is a great demonstration, and Garrett put a lot of work in behind the scenes today as well. So thank everybody for their support. Thank you all for coming. I hope everybody stays safe. We do hope someday we'll be standing face to face and have personal sessions, but and if not, we thank you again, and hopefully go stay in the expo area, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you, everybody.
Guys.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Colin. Thanks, Julie.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.